Yesterday we discussed about the basic block diagram of the 555 timer and also its basic operation. So we saw that a 555 timer has a potential divider of three 5 kilo ohm resistors, which is normally connected between VCC and ground. One end is connected to pin 8, which is VCC, and the other end is connected to pin 1, which is ground. So across each resistor, we will have VCC by 3 as the voltage. And if I take the bottom resistor tap and connect it to the comparator to the non-inverting terminal, I will have given a reference voltage at this point as 1/3 VCC or VCC by 3. And if I take a tap after two 5K resistors, so two 5K resistors and ground, and I connect it to the inverting terminal of the upper comparator, at this point I would have given a voltage of 2/3 VCC. So that is the potential divider circuit. Then comparators, we know how they work. Whenever the two comparison levels, just whenever the voltage at non-inverting terminal is just more than, slightly more than voltage at inverting terminal, output will go to logic 1 state or plus VSAT. And whenever the voltage at inverting terminal is slightly more than non-inverting, output will go to minus VSAT or logic 0. So here we are talking in terms of logic 1 and logic 0. So remember, positive terminal voltage little greater than negative terminal voltage, output is 1. Positive terminal voltage little less than negative terminal voltage, output is 0. So the outputs of comparators 1 and 2 will be either logic 1 or logic 0s, which are given as inputs to the next stage, that is the SR flip-flop. In this SR flip-flop, we know the truth table of SR flip-flop, where if S is 1 and R is 0, then it is called set state and Q will be 1 and Q bar will be 0. And the second condition, when R is 1 and S is 0, it is reset state. Q becomes 0, Q bar becomes 1. And when both are 0, both R and S are 0, then output will remain in its previous state. Output will remain in its old state. If the previous state was 1, it will remain in 1 state. If it was 0, it will remain in 0 state. And finally, if both R and S are 1, that is a prohibited state for an SR flip-flop. We don't use that state and it should never go to that state. Now, if you notice, the Q bar terminal output of the flip-flop is connected to this discharge transistor Q1 as well as to an output power amplifier and inverting stage. So whatever is the value of Q bar, it will be complement of Q, and whatever you get here as Q bar, that will be inverted at the final output, which is pin number 3. Okay. Also, this same Q bar controls the switching on or off of transistor Q1. If this Q bar is 0, I told you this is an NPN transistor. Q1 is an NPN transistor. So if the base is at logic 0, this transistor will be switched off. If the base voltage is at logic 1, which means somewhere near VCC, logic 1 means the voltage is some positive voltage, okay, near VCC. So if the base, which is of P type, is at some logic high voltage, the transistor Q1 will be on because it is an NPN transistor. Whenever this transistor Q1 is on, it will provide a short between collector and emitter, and it will provide a very low resistance path for all the charges to discharge. Remember, I told you we'll connect an external capacitor at this pin 7. So whatever charges will be gained by this capacitor, that will be discharged through transistor Q1 whenever it turns on. And I told you there is a second transistor usually, that transistor T2. This is called reset transistor. The main purpose of this transistor, it's a PNP transistor. Unlike Q1, this T2 is a PNP transistor. So the base is of N-type material. So if we have to switch on this transistor, the base should be connected to logic 0 or negative. Only when you give a negative pulse or a 0 level at the base, transistor T2 or Q2 will switch on. If it switches on, there is a short between emitter and collector. Emitter is connected to a positive reference voltage. So this voltage will come sending a current and it will override whatever 0 value was there at the flip-flop output. So the flip-flop output would, if it was a 0, the final output would have been a 1. So if we want that output to come back to 0 in between its timing cycle, so the output had to remain in one state for 10 milliseconds, but somewhere at 3 milliseconds, we wanted to reset the whole thing. We want to bring the output from one state to 0 state. For that, we will switch on this transistor. That's why it is called reset transistor. Okay. And to switch on this transistor, you need to give a 0 value or a negative value at pin 4. So either a 0 or negative value at pin 4. Are you able to hear me? Hello? Are you able to hear me? Is the connection there?
Yes, ma'am, we are able to hear.
Okay. So all these basics we discussed. Do you have any doubts with this? Okay. If you don't have any, let me proceed to the, and I showed you the comparison voltage levels. Yesterday I showed you this table also. Low. So if V2 is less than 1 by 3 VCC, because VB is at 1/3, if V2 is less than 1 by 3 and V6, the threshold voltage pin, is less than 2 by 3, outputs of the comparators will be 1 and 0. In the sense, S will be 1, R will be 0. And for this condition, it's reverse. How all this works, we just discussed yesterday. So I hope you remember, and I hope you remember this last condition is not allowed. That should never happen. Okay. Next, the final output, all this we discussed. Now let me move on to the first application of the 555 timer. It is one of the most useful applications to generate fixed timing delays. So whenever you want to generate a fixed timing delay of from few microseconds up to few hours, just look at the bandwidth. You can generate timing delays from few microseconds and up to few hours. So any delay, whatever you want, you can set and generate using this 555 timer connected as a monostable multi-vibrator. This is the connection diagram, what you're seeing here. So as I told you, pin 7 is the discharge pin. Pin 6 is the threshold input. Remember, this threshold pin goes to the non-inverting terminal of upper comparator. If you remember the diagram, it is easy. Anyway, so we are shorting pin 7 and 6 and connecting it to a set of external capacitor and series resistor, RA and C. So one end of RA goes to VCC, the other end comes to this capacitor as well as the short of pin 6 and 7. And if you can see, pin 1 is ground, so the other end of capacitor is also grounded. And do you remember what is pin 5? I told you pin 5 is the control voltage pin, and we use that pin only if we want to change the comparison, that fixed comparison level of the upper comparator. If the level should be changed from 2 by 3 VCC to something else, then you connect a voltage at pin 5. If you don't want to do that, you just connect a capacitor of 0.01 microfarad from pin 5 to ground. That's what we have done. So for us, for our purposes, it's enough to keep the fixed comparison level of 2 by 3 VCC at the upper comparator. So we'll not give any external voltage here. We will just connect a capacitor to ground to prevent any noise effects. And if you notice, pin 8 is VCC, pin 4 is called the reset pin. So what is the purpose of this reset pin? The job of this reset pin, if I give a 0 or a low going pulse at reset pin, it will bring the output down to 0 from high state. If the output was in high state, it will reset it and bring it to 0. If I don't want that to happen, if you don't want the reset to happen, then you connect that reset pin 4 to VCC. You keep it in logic high, which means you are never switching on that second transistor. That transistor T2 which I showed you, we are never going to switch on and we will never reset in between. I'm always keeping the base of that transistor at VCC. That's why pin 4 is also connected to VCC. Next, input trigger pulse is given at pin 2 and the output is measured at pin 3. So this is the basic connection diagram for a monostable multivibrator. And please notice the type of trigger what we give. We give a positive trigger, but it is a negative going pulse which varies from some positive voltage, say VCC to 0. And again, after a short duration, it goes back to VCC. Okay. So usually we give this kind of trigger, but I told you it will work for a square wave also. So here we have the detailed diagram, internal diagram. So let us try to analyze with the external circuit components connected. So let us try to analyze the behavior of this circuit. Okay. So initially what happens, I will mark here only. Initially, if I say the voltage gained by this capacitor, so as soon as we connect a capacitor, it doesn't have any voltage. So the voltage across the capacitor will be 0. Okay. So you see where all this capacitor is connected. This capacitor voltage is connected to pin 6. Can you see this connection? Pin 6. So here I have 0 volts and I am keeping this input trigger signal at VCC. I am giving a positive value here. This we are giving. So initially it hasn't gone negative. It is at a high value. Let me assume this is at VCC. So what would be the outputs of these two comparators? Let's analyze. Remember, we have 1/3 VCC at the non-inverting terminal of comparator 2. And now the inverting terminal is at VCC. So which is higher? The negative terminal voltage is more than positive terminal voltage. So what should be the output of the lower comparator? Anybody? What should be the output of this lower comparator? Please
Minus saturation
and
of
answer. Yes?
0.
Logic 0, exactly. And what about this upper comparator? To the upper comparator, pin 6 is connected to the capacitor whose voltage is 0. So the voltage here is 0 at the positive terminal. Negative terminal voltage is fixed at 2/3 VCC. So what is the output of the upper comparator? Upper comparator is also at 0. Yes or no? The positive terminal voltage is less than negative terminal voltage, output will be 0. So if both R and S signals of this flip-flop are 0, output Q bar we are interested in, this output Q will remain in the previous state. If I assume the previous state is something, whatever is that previous state, it will remain. So initially the stable state of the flip-flop, in the stable state, this monostable multivibrator or 555 timer will remain in the 0 state or low state. So if I draw the waveform, a 555 timer has 0 or low state as its stable state, which means if output should be 0, the input to this stage should be a 1, correct? So you can assume that is the initial state and it will remain in that state, whatever. Now, when will it change its state? If it has to change its state, here you see to the left, the input trigger should go low. How low should it go? The input trigger should become less than VCC by 3. Why should it become less than VCC by 3? Because To the positive terminal of this comparator, we have given VCC by 3. So when I make the voltage at pin 2 less than VCC by 3, it's a negative going pulse. When I make it less than VCC by 3, what will happen to the output of comparator 2? Inverting terminal is voltage is less than non-inverting terminal voltage. So the output of this comparator will go to 1 state, because this is at VCC by 3 and this value becomes less than VCC by 3. S value, output of comparator 2, will go to 1 state. Whereas now this capacitor will not remain at 0. This capacitor will start charging. See, this end is connected to VCC. If you remember, this RA is connected to VCC. So what will happen to this capacitor? It will start charging towards that voltage VCC through this resistor RA. So there are charges flowing and there is a current flowing from VCC through resistance RA into C. And it will try to increase the voltage across this capacitor. So the capacitor will try to gain charges and hence the voltage across the capacitor increases. It will not remain at 0 now. Okay. So please remember now the capacitor is charging, but the capacitor voltage is still what? Sorry, the capacitor voltage is still less than 2 by 3 VCC. It has not reached 2 by 3 VCC. Okay. So what will happen to this upper comparator output then? Upper comparator positive terminal is at a lesser voltage, less than 2 by 3, whereas negative terminal is at 2 by 3. So output of upper comparator continues to remain at 0. It was 0 previously when capacitor voltage was 0. Even when the capacitor has started charging, it will, as long as it is less than 2 by 3 VCC, output of upper comparator will remain at 0. But because this trigger input has gone below VCC by 3, output of lower comparator has become 1. So S is 1, R is 0. So what will happen to the output of the flip-flop? It is in set state. Q will become 1 and Q bar will go to 0. So if you remember, previously Q bar was in 1, now Q bar has gone to 0. So if Q bar is 0, what will happen to the final output here? I told you output stage has inversion also along with power amplification. So the final output, which was in 0 state, will now go to 1 state. Output has changed to 1. Is this clear? So when will the output change from 0 to 1? The output can change from 0 to 1 only when the input trigger pulse, which we give at pin 2, goes below VCC by 3. Only when this input trigger pulse, what you give at pin 2, goes below VCC by 3, then output changes from its stable state, which is the 0 state, to the unstable, or we say semi-stable or quasi-stable state, which is the 1 state. So for a 555 timer, 0 state is the stable state and 1 state is the semi or quasi-stable state. So we can make it change from stable to quasi-stable state when we give an input trigger pulse and that pulse voltage should go below 1/3 VCC. So this is the link. Okay, it should increase. Now, what will happen next? Next, say the capacitor, this pulse, remember this pulse will remain at 0 for a very short time and it will go back to VCC very fast. We'll keep this pulse duration very, very small. So again, what has happened now? This voltage here, this voltage has again gone back to VCC. So what would be the output of this comparator to? What would be the output of this comparator to? It's VCC here at inverting terminal and 1/3 VCC here. So this is inverting terminal voltage is more. That's why it is at logic 0. And here let's say the capacitor which is trying to charge. So the capacitor has started charging at this point and it hasn't reached 2 by 3 still. So this capacitor voltage is less than 2 by 3. So output of this comparator will also be 0. Both R and S are 0 means output will remain in the previous state, Q1, Q bar 0. So output will continue to remain in this 1 state. A 0 here will mean 1 in the final output. Output will continue to remain in the 1 state even after the input pulse has gone back to high. When it came down to 0, output changed to high, but it continues to remain in high state even after this input trigger pulse has gone back to VCC. So here it has gone back to VCC. It will continue to remain. How long does it remain? That depends on this capacitor. So let us assume this capacitor which has started charging after some point of time based on the values of the resistor RA and the capacitor C. After some time, this capacitor voltage will just cross 2 by 3 VCC. So if I say the capacitor voltage here just exceeds 2 by 3 VCC, it has charged, the capacitor is charging and it has just crossed 2 by 3 VCC, that level. So when it has just crossed through 2 by 3 VCC, what happens? In this upper comparator, positive terminal is at a higher voltage than negative terminal. So output of upper comparator will change to 1. Correct? So the positive terminal voltage will go above 2 by 3 VCC, whereas inverting terminal was fixed at 2 by 3. So now the R pin. Any problem with the connection? Okay. Now this R pin, the output of upper comparator, the reset pin is in high state. The set pin is in low state because we still have a VCC here. You see the input trigger pulse is at high level. So there is a VCC at the inverting terminal, a 1 by 3 VCC at the non-inverting. So output of this comparator remains 0, whereas R becomes 1. S is 0 and R is 1. What will happen to the output? Output Q, what should happen? Output Q should change to, if whenever R is 1 and S is 0, Q will be 0, reset. Flip-flop is in reset state. Reset pin is high. So if Q is 0, Q bar will be 1. So if Q bar is 1, what will happen to final output V0? The final output V0 is inverse of this Q bar. It will remain at 0. In the sense, the output which had gone to high state will come back to low state at this point. So output remained in high state for some fixed duration that depended on how much time it needs for this capacitor voltage to reach 2 by 3 VCC. So as this capacitor was charging, it will continue to remain in the same state. Output will continue to remain in the high state and it will remain in logic 1 till this capacitor voltage reaches 2 by 3 VCC. As soon as this capacitor voltage reaches or just crosses 2 by 3, upper comparator output will change to 1 state and the reset value will be 1 and therefore the final output will go back down to 0. Now what happens to the capacitor voltage? There is a 1 here, you can see 1 which is coming to the base of this transistor Q1. Previously it was a 0. When there was a 0, this transistor was off. Correct? So when was this a 0? When output was in 1 state, this value was 0. So the transistor will not switch on. This transistor will switch on whenever the base comes to logic 1. In the sense, it will get a positive voltage. So as soon as this transistor Q1 is on, you can see pin 7 is connected directly across to this capacitor. and the other end of capacitor is connected to ground, right? So whenever this transistor is on, it will provide a very low resistance path or something like a short circuit between collector and emitter terminals. So all the voltage gained by this capacitor will be passing like a discharge current to ground. The capacitor discharges all the voltage through transistor Q1 to ground, and that happens very fast. So in the waveform, if you see, the capacitor has a slow exponential charging cycle, but its discharging cycle is still exponential but almost very fast. At almost zero time, it will come back to zero because transistor has a very low resistance. So what is the discharge time constant? It is C into 0. R or R can be 1 ohm, 5 ohm, something very small. On time resistance of a transistor can be lesser than 5 ohms. So RC value, the discharge time constant, is very small for this capacitor, even if C is anything, whatever the value of C, because this R is the resistance of the on transistor, which will be very small. R into C turns out to be very small during discharge. So the discharge time is very quick. It will almost suddenly discharge to 0. And now it will continue to remain in this state, the 0 state, until and unless the next trigger pulse which is coming, and that trigger pulse should go below 1 by 3 VCC. So output will continue to remain. If I look at the comparator outputs, you will get 0, 0 for both, and 0, 0 means previous state, which is the 0 state. That stable state, output, capacitor, voltage, everything will remain in that state. Only when the next trigger pulse comes along and that trigger pulse goes to a value less than VCC by 3, only then the output of lower comparator will change, and again the output should go back to high state. So what is the condition which will send the final output from 0 to 1? The condition that will send the output from 0 to 1 is giving a negative trigger pulse. If you give a trigger whose value will go below 1 by 3 VCC, then output will change from 0 to 1. Okay, that's the condition needed to make the output change from 0 to 1. And what is needed to make the output change from 1 to 0? When will this output go back to 0? The going back of output to 0 depends on the value of this external resistance RA and C. We call RA into C as the time constant of this circuit. So it depends on the time taken for this capacitor to charge up to 2 by 3 VCC. So this capacitor will be slowly charging. When it reaches 2 by 3 VCC, automatically upper comparator output will change to 1. The flip-flop will get reset and the final output will come back down to 0. So whatever is the time taken for this capacitor voltage to reach 2 by 3 VCC, that depends on this external resistor RA and C, because the capacitor C charges towards the voltage VCC through RA. Okay, so this is the normal operation of a monostable multivibrator. Do you have any doubts or did you understand the operation? So in very easy terms, if you look at a monostable multivibrator implemented using 555 timer, we'll see this is how it works. So this makes use of, just remember this, in a monostable multivibrator, you have an external resistor RA, one end connected to VCC, the other end connected to pin 6, pin 7 and a capacitor. The other end of the capacitor is shorted to ground. So this is the external connection, and this C3 what you see is a capacitor which we call as decoupling, that is basically used for protecting the device from power supply surges. Anyway, this is not compulsory. And at pin 5, we are going to include what? A capacitor of 0.01 microfarad to ground. Because we don't want to connect any external voltage, we want this reference to remain at 2/3 VCC, which is given by the internal circuit. So this is all the connection you make. And please remember, since we don't use the reset button or reset pin, you have to connect pin 4 to VCC. And at pin 3, if you want, you can connect a load resistance RL. There are two ways of connecting this RL. One is you can connect RL from pin 3 to ground. Then whenever the output is in logic high state, there will be a current flowing from this timer pin 3 to the ground through the resistance, right? That will happen whenever this is at high state. So please understand, if output at pin 3 is logic 1, then there will be a current flowing through this resistor. So we call such resistors as normally off load resistor. What's the meaning of normally off load? This resistor will not have any current for normal operation. Only when the output comes to high state, output V0 comes to high state, then there will be a current flowing through this resistor or conduction for a short duration of time, for whichever time output remains in its high state. Remember, high state is the quasi-stable or semi-stable state. The other way of connecting the load, you can see through dotted lines it is shown, is to connect the load from pin 3 to VCC. This method of connection is called normally on load. What do you mean by normally on? That means whenever the 555 timer output is in the stable state, that is zero state, we haven't even given any trigger. Without giving trigger pulse, output will always be in zero state. But if this pin 3 is in zero state, RL is connected to VCC and pin 3. So since this end is at 0 and this end is at VCC, there is a current flowing through this load RL. So there will be a current flowing through the load in what? In the condition when there is no trigger appearing and 555 timer output is in off state or zero state. That's why we call such resistors as normally on. That means they are always conducting current. When do they don't conduct? They don't conduct when we send the monostable multivibrator to high state. Whenever pin 3 goes to logic 1, so what will happen? This end of resistor is also at VCC and the other end of resistor logic 1 means that is also at VCC. Both ends are at the same voltage. There won't be any current through this resistor at that time. That will happen whenever the output state changes to logic 1. So such load resistors which are connected between VCC and the output terminal are called normally on load resistors. And if you connect the load resistor between output terminal and ground, they are normally off resistors. They don't conduct unless the output goes to one state. Normally on resistors will be conducting always. They don't conduct whenever the output goes to what? One state. So the same thing is explained in this diagram. Since I have already explained, see, I am showing you here. Monostable multivibrator is a circuit with one stable state. A monostable multivibrator has only one stable state, which is the zero state. You see here we've written, it's instead of U0, it's V0. It is zero state. And if I want to make this change to one state, it needs a negative going pulse with value of voltage coming less than VCC by 3. Only when the voltage of this pulse becomes less than VCC by 3, the output goes from stable state, that is 0 state, to the 1 state. Okay, and it will remain in that state. Whenever output is in one state, the capacitor will be charging. Remember that. And as how long will it remain in one state? As long as the capacitor voltage doesn't reach 2 by 3. When capacitor voltage just crosses 2 by 3 VCC, output will go to 0 state, as you can see here, and the capacitor will start discharging. And capacitor discharging will not be as slow as charging, because the discharge path is through an on transistor. The capacitor discharges through a transistor which is on, hence it discharges very fast. So again you can see here, this cycle will repeat itself. Output will normally remain in 0 state as long as the input trigger pulse is in high. When the trigger goes below 1 by 3 VCC, output will change from low to high. It will remain in high depending on RA and C. So what is the duration for which the output remains in high state? Output will remain in high state for a time period TP, which we find out. I'll show you the derivation next. It is 1.1 R into C. So after this session, I request you to log in for another 10 minutes so that we'll finish off this monostable multivibrator. Okay. So I don't need you for much long, just 10 minutes so that this derivation and one small change in the circuit we will discuss. Anyway, let me come to this derivation. You can see here, okay, the complete waveform I want. The capacitor waveform I have taken here. And in general, we know voltage across a capacitor, Vc of t. All of us, I think, remember the standard expression for voltage across any capacitor, Vc of t, to be what? V final plus Vi minus Vf, the initial voltage Vi minus final voltage Vf into e to the power of minus t by Rc. Please remember the capacitor voltage. This is the standard equation for any capacitor. The voltage across a capacitor is always given as Vf, which means the final voltage which it can reach. The capacitor, whatever is the final voltage which it can reach, that is Vf. Vi stands for what is the initial voltage with which the capacitor starts. So, what is the initial voltage of the capacitor? That is Vi. And final voltage is Vf, and in the second term we have Vi minus Vf into e to the power of minus t by Rc. Now for our monostable circuit, the value of final voltage will be Vcc. See, if at all we would have allowed the capacitor to charge completely. So if we would have allowed this capacitor to charge to its complete final voltage, remember the capacitor can reach up to Vcc. You remember this previous circuit here? You see this capacitor is connected through resistor Ra to Vcc. That's what I showed you in the previous circuit. This was the resistor Ra. Through Ra it was connected to Vcc, the capacitor. If you allow this capacitor to charge completely, after 2/3 output changes and it is not allowed. If at all it was allowed, it would have reached the level Vcc. That's why the final voltage is Vcc and the initial voltage at the capacitor is 0. So Vi is 0, Vf is Vcc. If I substitute that in this equation, what would you get? If you substitute that in this equation, you will get Vc is equal to Vcc plus 0 minus Vcc into e to the power of minus t by Rc. Minus t by Rc. That's what is written here. We have taken this VCC as the common factor outside. So VCC into, from this term 1, from this term minus e to the power of minus t by RC. I hope you get this. So from this standard equation, we'll get voltage across capacitor is VCC into 1 minus e to the power of minus t by RC. Hope you got this. Now at the output pulse width. So let me say the output will remain high for the duration whenever the capacitor is charging. From capacitor charging from 0 to 2 by 3 VCC, output will remain in high state. So that we are going to call as the pulse width or the required time period for the monostable. T it is called in some books, some books they call it TP, pulse width, or they just call it as the time duration T. So whenever this time T has reached the final time period T, if we start with 0 and this is T, when it has reached the time T, what is the voltage across the capacitor here? The voltage that the capacitor has gained, the charges it has gained is 2 by 3 VCC. At this point, before the output changes to 0, the charges on the capacitor will be 2 by 3 VCC. So for VC, the instantaneous charges across the capacitor, VC of T you can call it as, or just VC. For that we should substitute 2 by 3 VCC. When will it be 2 by 3 VCC? At the end of this timing cycle T. So at the end of timing cycle T, its value would be 2 by 3 VCC, and substituting that in this previous equation. For VC, we have substituted 2 by 3 VCC, and on the right hand side, for small t, I have substituted the time period of the monostable, capital T. Okay. I told you we can call it TP also, pulse width, anything. So if you substitute this value and simplify, you will see, if I simplify this equation, here VCC cancels on both sides, and if I bring this 2 by 3 to this side, I will get 1 minus 2 by 3 on one side is equal to e to the power of minus T by RC on the other side, and 1 minus 2 by 3 is 1 by 3. So if I want to reduce this e power minus t, I should take log. So if I take natural logarithm on both sides, I will have minus t by RC on this left hand side. So this is minus t. If I take ln, if I take log to the base e, this e power will get cancelled. So whatever is there in the exponent, that will come to the left hand side. And for the right hand side also, I should take the natural logarithm ln of 1 by 3. So this ln of 1 by 3 turns out to be 1.1, and we already have RC here, RC into ln of 1 by 3. Why? Because I have RC on my left hand side. I have T by RC. That negative sign we will neglect. So you will get T is equal to RC into ln of 1 by 3, which turns out to be 1.1 RC. Okay. So this is the final expression, and this is how we derive. So to derive this, you should remember the starting expression, which is what? The starting expression tells you this one. Voltage across a capacitor is final voltage plus VI minus VF, initial minus final, into e power minus T by RC. So to design and for problems, you have to remember this expression, that the pulse width in a monostable multivibrator. For lab design also, we start off with this expression, is given as 1.1 R into C. And if we try to design a circuit with different capacitors and resistors, you see we have taken capacitors on the y-axis, the time delays on the x-axis, and resistance curves we have drawn. You can see This is the line for 1 kilo ohm resistance, 10K, 100K, 1 meg, 10 meg. And you see the timing delays. So approximately you can see, if I want a timing delay of say 1 millisecond and I am ready to use a 10K resistor, for example, if I drop a perpendicular, I am not able to draw a straight line here. Okay. If I drop a perpendicular from this to the resistance curve, I am using a 10K resistor. You will see the corresponding capacitance value will be something around 0.1 microfarad. So if they provide these curves, you can directly find the resistance and capacitance value needed to get the required time delay. If you have to design a monostable for a time delay of 1 millisecond, you can use a 10K resistor with 0.1 microfarad capacitor, or if I want to use 100K resistor, the corresponding capacitor turns out to be 0.01 microfarad. If you want to use a 1 kilo ohm resistor, the corresponding capacitor will be 1 microfarad, so on. So from these curves, you can easily compute the resistance and capacitance values for which you can design or you should use to get the required timing delays. Okay. So that's one thing. And the last thing about this monostable is, for a practical monostable circuit, we will always include some 3 additional components at the input side. That is a high pass circuit, a capacitor followed with a resistor and a diode. You see, these 3 additional components are normally used for any practical circuit. Why it is used? It is used to prevent something known as false triggering. What is that false triggering? Say for example, this is the input trigger pulse. It has gone low and the output, whenever it goes below 1/3 VCC, has changed to logic high. But say somewhere here itself, we have designed for a time period that is very small than this negative pulse width. So in the input trigger, the pulse width of this negative region is larger than the output pulse width for which we have designed the circuit. You have this, say this is 1 millisecond or something, and this you have designed for 0.1 milli. The output pulse width is less than this. What happens now? The output has come back to low state, but here, since the trigger pulse is still less than 1/3, it is still at 0. 0 means the trigger level is less than 1/3. It will immediately go back to high state again. It will come to low and immediately it will shift. You will see just a line. In the output, you will just see a line like this. It will come to low and go back to high. Actually, we have designed for a pulse width of only this duration, but you will get a longer pulse width, which is much larger than the design because of this false triggering. Because the input trigger was remaining low for a duration more than the required output pulse width. How do you prevent this? You can prevent this from happening by using a differentiator circuit. This high pass circuit acts like a differentiator. If you remember, we have done it in the lab also. A simple high pass circuit will differentiate this input pulse. So what is the differential of a negative going trigger? The differential of a negative going trigger is a spike here. You get a spike in this region. The differential of a positive going trigger, you get a spike, positive spike. So you will get negative and positive spikes of very small duration whenever we make use of a differentiator or a RC high pass filter. If you use a C followed with R, please remember it's a high pass circuit which acts like a differentiator. You will choose R and C values in such a way that if you notice, if you do it in the lab, if at all you get an opportunity to do this in the lab, you will see that the differential of a pulse signal will be something like this. For negative edge, it will generate a negative spike. For positive going edge, it will generate a positive spike. Now, I am interested in taking only negative spikes because I want the voltage at pin 2 to become less than what? VCC by 3. Only when the voltage at pin 2 becomes less than VCC by 3, output will change to high state from 0 state. Yes or no? Output which was in stable state of 0 can go to high state only when the trigger at pin 2 goes below VCC by 3. So, sorry, when this value goes less than VCC by 3, only then it is triggered. So, I am interested in having only negative pulses. I don't want positive pulses. So, what do? I will include a diode. You will just include a diode here, which will send all the positive pulses in this direction. It will act like a short circuit for positive pulses. All positive pulses will pass through this diode and only negative pulses will be available at the input pin 2 of this 555 timer IC. At the monostable input, only negative pulses will remain, which are what? The negative going edges of the trigger pulse. So only the negative going edges of the trigger pulse are taken. All the positive edges will be passed through this diode towards VCC. Okay. So all positive edges are removed. So there is no chance of false triggering now. Here, since I've taken only negative edge, output goes to high whenever this negative edge is there. Output remains in high state for however long it is designed. So even if the input pulse is still low here, say the input pulse has still not gone back to high, output will not trigger and go back because it has taken only negative edges. Only the negative going edges are sampled. So output will remain in its stable state. At the next negative trigger or the next negative spike only, it will trigger and go. So there won't be any false triggering in this circuit if we simply include an RC differentiator along with a diode as shown. So this we call as a wave shaping network because it will change the input square like trigger to spikes and it will pass on only the negative spikes to the circuit. Okay. So this is the wave shaping circuit and we just take this in addition to the previous monostable. Previously we were directly connecting the input pulse, trigger pulse. Now we will differentiate it through an RC high pass circuit. We will pass on the positive edges and we will allow only negative edges to reach the timer. So with this, I think there is a single problem, very simple, 2 minutes. For this circuit, RA is given as 10K and you should design for an output pulse width of 10 millisecond. Find out what is C. So you have to find the capacitor. What is the equation we know? You know T is given as 1.1 RA into C. This is the standard equation for a monostable. They have given RA value. They have asked us to find C. They have given T. T is given as 10 millisecond here. So substitute that 10 milli divided by RA. RA is given as 10K divided by 1.1. So C here will be equal to T divided by RA into C. And when we do that, we are getting 0.909 microfarad or approximately 1 microfarad. This is how we design in the lab also. Okay. So this is a simple problem with monostable and with this we complete monostable operation. You can